Germany, as a country, did not exist until 1871. Before then, the area that would become Germany consisted of independent states varying in size and power. Before 1806, the various German states were part of the Holy Roman Empire. Each state was under its own ruler. This empire had been established before 1000, and the Habsburgs had held the title of Holy Roman Empire almost continuously since the middle of the 15th century. However, the amount of control exercised by the emperors had varied. Constant struggles with the papacy and various wars left the HRE with little power. By 1800, it was little more than a title. Before this, there had once been hundreds of states, but through the deaths of royal lines, annexation, and conquest, the number had been reduced to around 300. In 1803, during the Napoleonic Wars, after defeating Austria, French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte gave some of Austria's land to the large German states. This was partly to punish Austria and partly to compensate the German states for the land France took around the Rhine River. Most of the lands given to the German states were small, and they were absorbed by their neighbors. This drastically cut down the number of sovereign German states, which was good because less small states meant that they were close to unifying Germany. In 1848, Europe was swept by revolution. The revolution soon spread to France, where the king was forced to abdicate, and then to the German states. Members of the middle class started to demand reform, and the urban working class joined in. The combined forces of these two groups frightened the German rulers into granting the desired freedoms and forming parliaments and writing constitutions. Then, in 1849, the Assembly in Frankfurt offered the crown of a unified German state that was to be a constitutional monarchy to King Frederick William IV of Prussia. He declined and the Assembly fell apart. Some revolutionaries met the German states with force in an attempt to continue the revolution, but they were ultimately defeated in all states and their leaders were arrested or forced to flee. By 1851, almost all of the gains made in 1848 had been reversed. The 1850s were a period of continued growth for the German states. Prussia continued to grow in power and influence, leaving Austria further behind. Prussia also began to move in the direction of unification. Finally, in 1871, Germany was unified. Known as the German Empire, Germany was ruled by King William I of Prussia. In the 1800s, Germany began expanding to Southwest Africa, German East Africa, Cameroon, and Togoland, which were also in Africa. Germany began expanding because they wanted to accumulate more territory so they could have more abundant resources and area for their country to expand. Germany thought of Africans as less important than them, so when they were taking over parts of Africa, they were often very cruel and ruthless.
The problems the Germans were having with their imperialism really led to the conflicts that arose in their colonies in Africa. The main issues Germany had with their colonization was the resistance from all of the colonies that they were trying to take over. One place in particular with lots of resistance was Namibia, so the German emperor sent in Lieutenant General Lothar von Trotha, who was quoted in saying, "I wipe out rebellious tribes with streams of blood and streams of money. Only following this cleansing can something new emerge." Von Trotha was a ruthless lieutenant general doing whatever necessary to defeat the rebellious tribes threatening German imperialism. His ruthless tactics included driving Herero rebels into a position where they were essentially backed into a corner and the only way out was to go deeper in the Kalahari Desert, where the German troops were paid extremely well to follow the Hereros into the desert. Another tactic used by the German troops was to poison the water wells, so that any Herero trying to get back out of the desert would not make it out alive. Along with that, some other troops set up guard posts along the 150-mile border that would also stop any other Herero from getting back. Eventually, this rebellion was put down. However, von Trotha's tactics were criticized at home and abroad, and he and his army were recalled back to Germany. Eventually, there would be another rebellion by the Nama, and again, von Trotha and his troops would be sent in again to shut it down. Germany was successful in shutting down this rebellion and killing over half of the tribe. As time would go on, the German Empire in Africa would be dismantled following World War I. The German colonies were split up between many different countries, including Belgium, the United Kingdom, France, and Japan. All of these countries were determined not to return any of these African colonies back to Germany.